Welcome home, Raiders. This week, Blackrock Foundry is coming soon to the live servers. We'll have the details. Patch 6.1 data mining continues, and this week, we celebrate another great anniversary. This is CTR 168.
You're listening to Convert to Raid, the podcast for raiders in the world of Warcraft.
Convert to Raid podcast power station in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And of course, my camera is all junked up right now. That's great. Thanks for joining us from all around World of Warcraft land. My name is Pat Crane. I'm the host of this little shindig here, known as CTR. It's January 18th, 2015, and it's now 11:15 a.m. And the players are here as well. Let's just jump straight to the players, because obviously I don't know what's going on with my cameras. All right, let's go to sleepy Seattle right now to somebody that's probably going to talk about American football. It's Darius!
Yeah, how did you know? It's not sleepy Seattle, it's sports ball Seattle.
Sports ball
now.
Seattle.
It is. Everybody's got sports ball fever right now.
Yeah, well, it's because it's Seattle and who today? Green Bay.
Them Seahawks and them Green Bays, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to cut the show early today so that we can get prepared.
We should probably just go now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go to La La Land, to Hollyweird, California, to the Funky Mock, to Coltrane.
Fortune cookie say. After a raid wipe, healer monks often say, I missed.
You've done that one before.
Yes, I have. It's a classic.
Before.
Yes, I have. It's a classic. I had to go to the classics. It's a classic.
It was bad the first time. It was worse the second time.
What are you talking about?
I don't know if classic is what I would call it.
It's not vanilla. It's classic.
I'd call it a piece of something.
Argument.
We already did our rehash and eggs episode.
That is a winner covered in win sauce. No, it's a classic. I had to bring it out. I had some wonderful fortune cookies submitted, and I had an 8-hour drive yesterday, and I was exhausted, and I wasn't able to get everything together, so I had to reach deep down to get the classic. So I apologize for bringing back an oldie but goodie. But come on, that's pretty great. Mist Weavers, I missed. Come on.
No. It's a piece of classic.
It's
replace classic with a word of your choice, whatever it is.
You're all crazy.
Well, hi fellas, welcome back to another week of fun on Convert to Raid, and we've got a bunch of stuff today. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. It's pretty cool. But let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in our week of WoW. And Darius, let's kick it off with you, buddy. What has been going on in your week of WoW?
So let's see. Play a little bit more of my hunter. Did some Lafur on my hunter. That was good. I got some gear. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Yeah, my hunter's name is Commando Jack. The Commando Jack.
I love that name. Commando
it's
Jack,
great
the Commando
name.
Jack.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, what spec is your hunter?
Oh, Beast Mastery, because it's the most fun. I think it's the most fun.
No, survival is the most fun.
No, I just by fun, I mean, you auto attack, let your pet do all the damage, and you go get a drink, and then you come back, and whatever you're fighting was dead.
I gotcha. All right, cool.
But I also did that on my hunter. I just, because I'm running out of buildings to build in my garrison. I don't know what to add anymore, so I built the mage tower for some reason.
Yes. Yes.
How's that working out for you?
Not only did I build the mage tower, but I was like, well, if I'm going to build this, I might as well go all the way. And in order to get level 3 blueprints, you need the mage tower achievement, which is to collect 500 ogre waystones.
Yes.
So I went out to an area in the Grand where there's some ogres, and for 4 hours just kept killing them over and over and over again to get those 500 waystones to get the level 3 mage tower so I can have one extra portal.
Yeah. So what do you think? How is it, man?
It's okay. I mean,
Sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for a portal to Highmaul.
Yeah.
Or a portal to Blackrock. Like, that's it.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
It is. And I will say, I have the Mage Tower as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for you skinners out there, the one that's by Highmaul, it pops you out right next to the river beast, the elite one. So it's easy. You pop right out, you skin those, you trap those bad boys, and you're good to go. And Highmaul's right there. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's a lot of work for like a little portal.
Yeah.
You can easily be like, press 1 for summon and just like summon me.
That's what I do. That's what I just wait for it.
Right. You're one of those jerks. You won't go to the stone.
No, sometimes I do. I mean, it depends on when I log into game.
You don't go to the stone. You expect to summon every time.
Expect. I respect a.
Oh, there you go. Excellent.
I don't know. Colt, what have you been up to this week, buddy?
Well, old Coltrane got himself the new legendary ring. Or the new step in the ring. The 10% proc. Right. So I finally got 125 of those abrogator stones.
Yeah.
And I did your guys' advice. So you guys advised that LFR actually has a really high drop rate for those stones.
Mm-hmm.
You're totally right. So I did a little LFR action. Got to finally see Imperator or Perignator. I still can't say that right. On LFR.
Right.
And you're right. Group did not wipe. There was some damage going out. Some interesting players not quite understanding the abilities, but that's all right. But that's what I do like about LFR is that we didn't wipe. We still were able to down the boss. It still was about 20, 30 minutes versus 4 to 5 hours. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I'm happy. I got that new ring now. It's like a 690, I think.
690, yeah.
Yeah, and you get a 10% increase to your highest stat.
Right.
For like, I don't know how many seconds or something like that.
I think
10
it's
seconds.
Is it 10?
10
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be good. So I'm looking forward to carrying that into Raid. Raid tonight. So it should be good.
It really does help. And I know that for me this week, so this week was kind of weird for me because I was really looking into a lot of theory crafting for druids and for resto druids. I actually respect my off-spec to be Kitty, number 1. That was kind of cool. That's kind of fun. And so I did that for.
I saw that and thought you had a momentary lapse in judgment.
No, I did that for Proving Grounds, actually. Because one of the problems that balance druids have in Proving Grounds is that you don't have enough interrupts. I mean, people can work it out. But I don't want to sit there and wipe 50 to 60 times waiting for, the magic thing to come up so that I can pass silver Proving Grounds. I mean, it's just weird. You can't interrupt that healer. You only have 2 interrupts. You have Solar Beam, and then you have like Bash. And those are both on really long cooldowns.
What about Shadow Priest with 1 45-second cooldown?
I'm not saying anything about Shadow Priest. I don't know that one. Okay?
That's right. We're talking Feral, baby.
We're talking, so Feral has a repeatable interrupt that's only 15 seconds, and it's like, all right, let's just do that.
Right.
So, and I haven't tried it yet, but I haven't tried Proving Grounds as Kitty yet, but I plan on it, and that's the important thing. So I did that, and then the other thing was I was really looking into. There was a great article that came out this week from Hamlet, from Elitist. It's Hamlet EJ is his handle on Twitter, and he came out with this great article about resto druids and what kind of stats you really want, mastery versus haste. What is going on with that battle? And it's a very in-depth, very thinky, very big brain article that can only be written by somebody who really knows how to confuse me.
Right. Well, did you learn anything? Like, were you on point? Were you not? Would you anything?
So kind of, yeah. I mean, here's part of the problem. So right now, when you're looking at Highmaul, you don't have the best optimization for gear.
Right.
That's kind of the biggest concern, right? So
across the board, yeah.
So what do you do? Do you go mastery or do you go haste? They just did a haste buff with hotfixes in game, so everybody has a little bit of a haste buff right now, and so that kind of swings the pendulum the other way. actually, because when we first started, mastery was like key. Right?
Right.
It was like everybody said, you know what? We're not getting enough haste. Let's just go mastery. Let's get it done. That will affect pretty much all of your heals evenly. And whereas haste only really helps out your hots, your heal over time.
Gotcha.
So now they're saying haste is really better because now with a new buff and the gear is starting to come along, we're starting to see that now. So if you can go haste, do that. And that's going to be better long run. However, for those guys that are healing out there right now, if you're doing normals or heroics, I don't think it really matters. If you're doing mythic, that's where you start to see probably the breakdown happen. So I might be trying some new stuff tonight. We'll see.
Nice, man. Yeah, with higher haste, you get more dot ticks and on your hots and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You get more ticks.
Right. So you get more ticks off of your hots with haste, whereas with mastery, you just get like a 1% bonus for every however many points it is.
Gotcha.
So I mean, we'll see what's going on, but it's a really great article. And if you're a druid healer and you don't follow Hamlet EJ on Twitter, do it, because he's one of the theory crafters out there. I think for a lot of resto specs or for a lot of healing specs.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
woo!
There you go.
You're gonna need all that healing for the new boss we're working on in this Guardians initiative.
I know. Well, speaking of that, let's just get right into it. And I do have some music for this, so we'll see if this works.
Ooh.
Don't be too impressed. Don't be too impressed. All right, so let's go to this. Oh, hold on one second.
What the?
We'll do. Oh, hold on. The volume is way low. The volume is way low. Here we go. All right. And now it's time to check in with the official Mythic team of the Convert to Raid podcast, the Asparagus Initiative. See, it's kind of dopey music. I was trying. I was thinking I could go like really big. I could do something like this.
It's like perfect.
And be all tough and stuff like that. But then I'm like, you know what? Let's just go with the goofy music and keep it at that. Because we're kind of goofy.
Well, I'm pumped up. I don't know about you guys. I'm fired up.
Right.
Let's talk about the Asparagus Initiative.
I don't know.
That's not like the old days when I was in Rectified, baby.
Oh, yeah. Right. And I don't have that sound. I'll bring it up.
All right.
In a little bit. So, Darius, what is happening with the Asparagus Initiative? What have we been doing this week as a team?
So, I think a really good sounder there would be like the Benny Hill.
That's close, though.
Or the the yakety sax, chasing each other around kind of thing, because that's basically what we did for Twin Ogron. Is we're all just being chased by fire and running in different directions, and it's just a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But we ended up killing those two bad boys.
Woo!
And,
wait, hold on one second.
Mythic.
Big applause for us.
Yes.
There we go.
Mythic twins down.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was like.
Yep.
Towards the end, when all the abilities start to overlap and everything starts going crazy, it's just straight yakety sax.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But we ended up killing them.
Yeah.
And then moved on to Mythic Brackenspore.
And how is Mythic Brackenspore going, Darius?
That's pretty much just a reset of yakety sax.
Right.
Just people running all over the place. No one has any idea what's going on.
Right. And that's why I think that music is even more appropriate.
That's true. That's true. Mythic Brackenspore, cue music.
Oh God. But Brackenspore is on Mythic. You thought it was tough on heroic healers. Oh, just wait. Mythic, it gets much, much worse.
It's fun. I gotta tell you, Mythic
damage.
I'm totally into Mythic Brackenspore. You got the fight, you got all the ads, and you got those big green waves of death coming at you from the ocean. I loved it, man. As like a melee, I was having a blast on that fight. Now, I think for me, too, it was a nice break, because if you're melee on Mythic Twins, holy cow, that's not the funnest fight on the planet. Because there's fire and there's everything, and then sometimes your camera gets weird, and it's like, it's insane. But I was very happy we got Mythic Twins down. That is a crazy fight. And the thing about Mythic Twins is, just depending on like the fire patches, it's always so random. Like, you'll have a nice fire patch and like, oh, this fight, no problem. This is easy. And the next thing you know, there's like, where do I go? I have to walk through fire. Like, it's crazy. But
there's a bunch of guides out there that try to show you because there is a pattern to the way the fire is, but
Yep.
the pattern is so complex that trying to watch these videos and figure it out, I think, makes the fire harder, because you've got all these different patterns you're trying to like recall while dodging it, and it's like, no, I could just not stand in the fire, and that's way easier.
Well, there is kind of one method that works, whereas as soon as you see the axes in the floor, you see which way the fire is going initially, and then you stand behind that axe, and then you don't have to move until that fire comes from the other side of the room, and then you have like one gap to go through, and you're good.
Again, there's so much movement, and everybody's all over the place.
A lot of movement. Well, and
it's just so much fire,
and especially in Mythic. That was one of the things about Twins that I really thought was fun. As a resto druid, I can run around and still heal people, which is nice. But not everybody likes this fight because there is so much movement. So much movement.
Right.
Because you're running out of fire, like we talked about. You're running out of fire. You're running in for Enfeebling Roar. You're running away from the Whirling Dervish, especially the Empower.
Pulverize.
Yeah, and then you got to spread apart for the Pulverize, and then you got to run from the rocks, and then you run from the big rocks. Geez, what else?
And then the charge, the shield charge.
Right, the Empowered Shield charge, too, where there's like 15 different guys charging around the room, and you have to like evade them. It's not 15.
Right. That's a lot of movement. You ain't kidding. I'll tell you what. That's a lot going on.
I know. And so it's kind of weird. And now we're on Bracket Spore, which is not necessarily as much movement, but it's still, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a cool fight.
Yeah.
I like it. I guess I like Brack because it's just a bit of more of a break from melee. We can kind of chill. We don't have to move and avoid as much stuff now. We can just kind of chill and just do our deeps and just kind of relax a little bit. And
it really is like.
Go ahead.
There's a lot going on in the fight, but really compared to Twins, it's so relaxing. You're like, oh, okay, I could do this.
So relaxing.
Twins is just real hectic.
And except for healers, and their heads are buried in their friggin' bars. You know,
but, I mean, at least with healers, like for like more than 5 seconds, we can stand in one spot and at least heal. Whereas Twins, you're lucky if you have 5 seconds to stand still.
This is true. This is true.
It's fun stuff, man. Mythic has been a great challenge, I think, for a lot of people. It's really been fantastic. It's really challenging. It's great. So loving it. I think Blizzard, the balance, I think, in the tuning has been fantastic. And I'm not seeing a ton of guilds right now that are 7 out of 7 Mythic. You know what I mean? I'm really not. So
what is the latest count? Maybe I'll Darius, take a look and see how many guilds have actually gotten it, because I mean that's kind of interesting to me too, because we've got some more. Well, let's bring that up during the rating part of the news when we get there. But we have some news before we get to the rating news, and that is that one of the things that happened this week was that that Blizzard is rewarding players for sticking with them for 10 years or more.
Yes.
And Colt, I think you know a lot about this one, don't you? That is so cool.
Right?
That is so
cool. Look at that guy.
Yep.
Is that awesome?
So they were giving out statues for the folks that have been around for 10 years, and it's the model of the statue that's out in the Blizzard courtyard, which is really cool. Right. That's amazing. I did not expect that at all. Colt, what happened with you in getting that?
Well, it was the same thing with me, is that what's amazing is that I've been playing WoW for 10 years straight. Hey. You know, that's what's incredible. And it's actually true. And I went back and I looked at the stuff and I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, I may have mentioned that I've been around since Vanilla or Classic. It may have come up once or twice, but I will say, I think it's really, really nice of Blizzard to do that, to like recognize those that have been around since the very, very beginning. And also a big shout out to Blizzard, because I am an MMO hopper guy. At least I was before World of Warcraft. I went from various MMOs back to back to back. Started in Ultima Online, onto EverQuest and Dark Age of Camelot, Star Wars Galaxies and EverQuest 2, and then to WoW, and have always stuck with WoW. So you got to admit, after 10 years, that's a pretty incredible thing. So I thought that was really unexpected and really, really great of Blizzard to do. to kind of give a statue out for those that have been subbed nonstop for 10 years.
Right.
That's pretty crazy. So, as somebody in the chat room just said, achievement unlocked. So, so very cool stuff, man. Very cool stuff.
It is very cool. Now, Darius, how long have you been playing WoW?
I posted a screenshot the other day. Since 2001, I think my account's been around. So, I actually, they got the idea for WoW from me.
Right.
Wow. I started in BC, so I haven't been around for 10 years.
Right. Neither have I. So, and I know that some people were kind of, grumpy about it. Some people were like, "Oh, they get something fancy and we don't." Well, it's just a celebration.
Why can't just be people happy for this? I mean, I think it's an awesome gesture from Blizzard to do that.
So too. I think that's right. I think it's great. Myself. So.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I think some people with every decision you make, you have a choice of good or evil, right? And it's like, maybe 1 in 5 choose good. Just be like, hey, that's great. Like for me, if somebody gets something or is awarded with something and I'm not, I'm happy for them. Right. If I like them, if I hate them, then no, I'm not happy for them. But if I like that individual, hey, congratulations. That's wonderful. You know what I mean? So I think, some people were like, this was a poor thing on Blizzard and blah, blah. And like, no, it wasn't. I thought it's a really nice thing that they did. I think it's great. So now, yes, I did receive one, but I think that we gotta, as a people, maybe like Darius said, maybe be happy for other people. You know what I mean? Right. Don't be upset and angry.
Let's all celebrate that WoW is around and that we're finding a home here, and that we have a great community of like-minded individuals coming together to down some bosses.
Yeah, and there was a great tweet that I actually retweeted by somebody, and they said, what I got from WoW since 2007 is long-lasting friendships and incredible friends. For me, that's a lot better than a piece of metal. And that is what WoW is about. That is what World of Warcraft has brought. You know what I mean? For all of us. It's long-lasting friendships. It's relationships. It's all of this amazing thing. That's what Warcraft has brought to all of us. So I think it's a great thing. So anyway.
And speaking of which, it actually comes at a cool time in our history here at the show, because we are actually celebrating the 2-year anniversary of the CTR Guild this week. And exactly. Big applause, really, because this is it's kind of weird when you think about it. 2 years ago, we went off on our own to create the guild, and we switched over to Alliance. We switched everything. We switched servers. We switched sides. We're a bunch of traitors.
Yeah,
absolutely. We abandoned the Horde.
Right. And now we have a guild of around 9,000 characters, and I think it's a little less right now, but that's okay. And it's pretty cool to watch this community grow and welcome people home into this community and be able to see kind of the fun things that happen with all these different raid teams. We have like 60 some odd raid teams for Warlords right now, and it keeps on growing. So it's just fantastic. And if you're looking for a home, you can still find one on Airy Peak US with the CTR Guild. Just go to converttoraid.com/guild and you can see all this stuff. But way to go, fellas.
Yeah, congratulations, CTR, man. 2 years. That's insane.
I know.
That's crazy.
And Darius, you've been managing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and like kicking people. Inactive accounts and stuff like that. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I thought we might take a walk down memory lane, because remember the announcement that we made? It was Colt, it was you, me, and Solar.
Yes, Solar. Solar Fly.
Yep, that's right. And here is the announcement that we did. Hi, this is Zug from Convert to Raid, and today we'd like to discuss with you an idea.
An idea that 3 of us are all really excited about.
One of the most popular questions we get is, how do I find a raid team?
Where do I go to find a raid team?
And how can I get involved?
Well, we have a new answer for you. Us. Convert to Raid will no longer just be a podcast for raiders, but it's going to be a raiding community.
A place where people of all skill levels can come together under one roof and enjoy one of the greatest aspects of WoW.
What we want is to get you raiding, to take away that fear and uncertainty and find a home for you. I say it at the beginning of every show, welcome home, Raiders. I mean it. We want Convert to Raid to be a hub for Raiders and aspiring Raiders of all kinds.
Of course, you can always
all right. Let's calm that down a little bit. I don't want to play the whole thing, but that's kind of cool, right? I mean, that's 2 years ago that we played that stuff, and that's it means a lot to have all you guys join us from around World of Warcraft and find a home. It's cool.
Absolutely.
It's really cool.
That sounded a little cheesy, I gotta admit.
It was a little cheesy.
Little Velveeta on that one.
Imagine something from us sounding a little cheesy.
What?
Weird.
Craziness.
All right. Well, let's go into the Raiden news.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is raiding news.
All right, it's time to check out the news from around World of Warcraft. And first up, we actually got some tweets this week and some more information about raiding. And specifically about Blackrock Foundry. Now, last week we said it may be tied to 6.1. We weren't sure. Well, the World of Warcraft devs at Warcraft Devs on Twitter, they came out and said Blackrock Foundry not dependent on a release of patch 6.1.
The second tweet from this account, I think, and it was super important. Yeah.
Super important. And then they're like, hey, it won't be long until we get Blackrock Foundry and all this kind of stuff. And then they said, oh, here's when. Right?
Yeah, here.
Coltrane? Yeah. What was the announcement?
Well, looks like Blackrock Foundry might be coming a bit sooner than we all think.
Yeah.
I believe the date, February 3rd? Is it?
3rd.
February 3rd.
That's amazing.
So I tweeted it out, right? I tweet the deets. Is that what the kids are saying these days?
I have no idea.
I tweeted the deededs. I don't know how it works.
Right.
But anyway, I said, hey, so February 3rd, Blackrock Foundry. Too early, too late, or just right? And 98% of every response said too early. Way too early. Like literally 98 to 95% of everyone is a little nervous. They're a little freaked out because it makes sense. This happened in Mists. We got this content really quick, right? Mm-hmm. We were just down the last boss, or we were still working on it, and boom, here's the new raid. And at the time in Mists, we were like, well, this is great. I mean, but isn't it? It's a little early, but this is fantastic. And Blizzard said they want to release stuff quicker. But I don't know, man. And we got that massive bottleneck with Siege of Orgrimmar, and I'll admit myself, I'm nervous here. I'm nervous. It's a little, in my opinion, a little bit early, because even for us now, we're going into Mythic content now. We're 2 of 7. Mm-hmm. We're working on our 3rd, but it's just, oh my gosh, like Blackrock Foundry is just right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think what a lot of people, when they're saying this is too early, what they're thinking is that this is the next raid tier, and it's not. This is the Heart of Fear to our Mogashan vaults. You know, and if you think they release those in quick succession, it's not another tier. This is just another wing, basically,
right,
of a raid instance. And it's I think if you look at it that way, this is good timing. I mean, this came out. Highmaul came out months ago at this point, and we're now opening up the next tier of what will be another few months of that tier. I don't think this is too early if you look at this all as basically one big instance.
Right. And as we talked about when we were doing the silly bit Coltrane, where we were doing the Race to World first, I mean, it is kind of halftime right now.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be going into the next half of this tier, which has better gear and so on and so forth. And more
tier
bosses.
gear. Yeah. And Blackrock Foundry is the actual tier.
Right.
Yeah. So you're right. Highmaul is like our little intro, little appetizer.
Yeah.
You know, is your little spinach dip there, you know, maybe a little salmon, a little something. And then you get to the entree.
It's the carrots and broccoli and
that's right.
And dip. And
you get then you get to the French dip, if you know what I'm saying. With that au jus, oh baby,
you may actually be the French dip. I'm not sure.
Yes, you're probably right about that. But no, I mean that's true. I mean Blackrock Foundry is the tier. This is where we get our gear. This is the actual. This is the show. This is the show.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I guess, but I still will say that Highmaul, even though it may be like this intro raid, it's still a raid. And because now there's the difficulty with Mythic, there's normal, heroic, and Mythic.
Yep.
I kind of wish personally that we were at like 5 of 7 Mythic or something when this came out, or 6 or something. So I don't know, but there were other people that tweeted me that said this is just right. And for guilds too that aren't maybe necessarily doing Mythic, some people are kind of getting tired of Highmaul already. You know, they're like, well, we've done it. We've done the heroic stuff. We're ready for something new. So
I do like the Mythic stuff, though. I really like the Mythic stuff. Yeah. And I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. It took us a while to get there, but I'm liking all the Mythic stuff that we're trying, and I want it to keep on going at some point. But yeah, I get it. I get it from other people that, especially, you know, if they're doing just all the flex difficulties. Yeah. Maybe a little long in the tooth, maybe.
I think what Blizzard's plan with this, and I don't know, so hopefully someone corrects me if I'm wrong at Blizzard, but I think what the plan was that with the staggered release and with this being the tier, with Blackrock being the tier, what they want people to do is you do the LFR, you get the gear to then go into normals and heroic in Highmaul, which is going to get you the gear to then go into normal Blackrock to then do heroic Blackrock. Like I don't think they're expecting anybody but some of the best guilds to do Mythic in Highmaul. They just want you to be able to clear through, get that gear so that then you can then go into Blackrock.
Right.
So I still think we're going to see a lot of people doing Highmaul as it is the stepping stone into Blackrock. You're definitely not going to do LFR and jump right into Blackrock. Like LFR Highmaul or not Highmaul at all and jump right into Blackrock. That's not going to happen.
Right.
You're going to need that stepping stone. And I think it's a really good progression. I think Highmaul was really good at first boss is really easy and last boss is much more challenging, much more personal responsibility. And that's a really good way to lead into the next raid, the next tier, or not tier, but the tier.
Right. Well, and I am happy with the where the difficulty is at. But so earlier, we were talking about WoW progress and how many teams had cleared on Mythic. What kind of number are we looking at right now?
So for 7 of 7 Mythic, there's 178 raid teams that have cleared Highmaul.
That's not terrible.
No, that's pretty good.
That's not terrible. That's
178?
Yeah.
Out of 11 million people.
I mean, how many have completed on normal? How many have completed on
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Well,
we're just talking about Mythic, and
yeah, no, you're right.
And I kind of expect it to be kind of a low number, right? So I mean,
that's true.
10,000 guilds have cleared on heroic. So
and Darius brings
10,000. Wow,
that's out of 30,000 that have killed a heroic boss at all. So that's really, really good.
And Darius brings up a very good point, I think, that with Mythic teams, those are like the super hardcore stuff that you can't maybe base this timing based on Mythic progression, that normal and heroic, because Mythic is a definite step up in difficulty. It's pretty hardcore. It's pretty insane. So I can see where Darius is coming from here. You know, right. I can. All right. I'm nervous, guys.
I know.
I'm just nervous. That's all.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up with Blackrock Foundry, and I can't believe that we're having another Blackrock. How many Blackrocks do we need? Blackrock just holds like these really bad memories for me. Like Blackrock Mountain stuff, like all the level 50 dungeons that you had to. Oh, jeez, you just get stuck in that, and it just and even Cataclysm we had Blackrock, and now again it's like every other expansion Blackrock. But let's
going back to the other thing. Would you guys rather they do every 6 to 9 months we get a Siege of Orgrimmar, 14 bosses, 1 raid instance, and you go through, or would you rather every 2 or 3 months you get another 3 bosses, all the same tier, but it's a different location every 3 months? I mean, which would you rather prefer?
I don't think that there's I think that's a bad choice.
I mean, that's what we're kind of seeing here.
Yeah.
You know, I would rather every 3 months get the chance to clear through on normals, clear through on heroic, maybe do a couple mythic bosses, and then you get to see something new, something different.
Right.
You know, I'd rather that than 9 months of Throne of Thunder over and over and over again, or something like that.
That's true. That's true.
Or a year of Siege.
Yeah. I choose not to acknowledge that.
But we'll see. I mean, it'll be great to step into a new place. Some of those fights in Blackrock Foundry look amazing. I can't wait for the Hans and Franz fight that looks unbelievable.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's okay for us to be a little bit nervous about what happened with Miss.
Yeah,
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think being mindful about it is warranted. You know.
Mhm.
Well, let's break it down a little bit as far as all this stuff, how the release is going to go here, fellas. Now, as we said, February 3rd, we see Blackrock Foundry open in normal and heroic difficulties, and we also have a new world boss, Ruckmar, in Spires of Iraq. So that'll be fun, a new world boss to defeat and get loot from. And then, February 10th, the next week, Mythic becomes available. And then the week after that, we start with the raid finders, right? So, and then it's just like every week, every other week after that.
February 10th is Mythic?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to tell my wife, no Valentine's Day. I'm raiding Mythic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, honey.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
Right.
And Raid Finder Wing 1 comes out on my birthday. Look at that.
Oh, no kidding.
February 17th.
There you go.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Nice little celebration. More loot for me.
Now, speaking of more loot, do we know what kind of loot the new world boss is going to be dropping?
Darius, do we?
Rockmar?
See, somebody mentioned it last night, but I can't remember. I don't remember.
I'm curious what the eye level is, but I'll tell you that Rockmar, he sounds to me like a jukebox hero.
Uh-oh. Hold on. There we go. We're not even on that part of patch 6.1 notes, and you're already bringing it up.
Jeez.
Love it.
Had some fun before the show with that one.
Oh, jukebox hero. Rockmar.
Right. Actually,
they're saying 665 from Rockmar, who I'm now calling Rockmar.
Rockmar. Right.
Yes.
They keep releasing these world bosses. It's not going to be safe to go anywhere in Draenor
I
soon.
know.
It's going to be all over the place.
Right.
Everyone's just going to have to hang out in their garrisons all the time. Wait.
That's what I do anyway. It's all right. It's totally cool. But one of the things about Blackrock that I don't like already, that I can say that I don't like right now, as it stands, some of these names are a little tough to pronounce. Not going to lie.
Yes.
Some of these names look a little tough.
That's what's most important. You're right.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, having a podcast, we have to talk about we have Gruul, right? That's easy enough. Orgorger. It sounds like a vocal warm up, right?
Yeah. Really roll off the tongue.
Yeah. Right. We got Orgorger, and then we have the Blast Furnace, which is easy enough. But then we have on Wing 2, we have like all these. I don't even know. Coltrane, can you pronounce these guys' names?
No. I'm not going to even try. I'm just going to rock out with Rockmar, the jukebox hero.
I think when they were naming Blackrock, they kind of got to the last minute and they were like, "Oh, what do we name this?" And someone just like bashed their head against the keyboard.
Right.
And they're like, "Yeah, well, whatever. We'll go with that. Just put it out. And
actually, I know what they did.
Oh.
They went through the character setup and just hit random until they found one that was good.
That's
the
true.
name
That's
generator.
Probably it.
And they're also saying that Rockmar also drops a mount as well. And I wonder if his mount is a jukebox.
You're just throwing it in just to throw it in.
Any chance?
Isn't it the flying mount? Isn't it a flying? There's like something on PTR
it is
where
a falling mount. Yeah.
There's like a flying something that's going to be a flying mount. Yes, a falling mount. So the question is then, are we going to get flying in Warlords or not? I mean, this is
out.
They've data mined a mount that looks like it should be flying.
No, it looks like it's falling.
Well,
not flying, which is how I fly right now in Warlords. I just find a really tall peak and jump off.
And then die. And then die. Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't that how you fly? That's a trick to flying is to fall but not hit the ground, or was it fall and miss the ground? I mean, that's how you. That's how you fly.
So you like blink at the last minute. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that still works.
It does still work, and it's amazing. Mage power. Fantastic.
So now we have the release schedule and stuff like that. How do you expect to get back on track? Darius, how do you expect that the Asparagus Initiative is going to be handling this transition? How do you expect that we will be, when this is released, are we going to just dive right into normal and heroic content, or are we going to still try to do some mythic, or what do you think as far as what we'll do for scheduling?
I mean, so because Highmaul doesn't drop tier, I don't think we'll go back to Highmaul during our raid nights, our Sunday and Monday raid nights. We'll probably go back on an off night because people will just want to do it, and we'll try to clear mythic. You know, we'll have a bit more gear, things like that. So we'll probably try to clear mythic kind of on an off night, an optional night. But as there's no tier in there, we might not go back. And I think most people are getting their good trinkets and weapons and stuff from heroic already. Some people have gotten some from mythic. So I don't think we have to go back into Highmaul for really anything. I think we'll be able to clear normal and heroic Blackrock with little problem.
Right.
And people will start getting their gear that way.
Right. It's kind of a bummer though, because I kind of want to see the especially the end of that raid on mythic difficulty. I think that would be a lot of fun.
And I think a lot of people do, which is why we'll probably try to go back on an off night and try to do it.
You're crazy.
Yes.
No one is going to want to go back into Highmaul once Blackrock Foundry is out. You're nuts. I'm sorry. You're in the loony bin. No, I'm just saying that. No, you're right. I mean, it would be great to see these fights in Mythic, but look, the driving force is loot, baby.
Right.
And all that fresh, wonderful loot is in Blackrock Foundry.
Yeah.
So that's where myself and everyone else is going to be. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, that's where everyone's going to go, of course. Like, your progression raid nights, no one's going to go back to Highmaul for, someone needs a wrist piece off of a boss. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
No, I really don't think so. I think they'll just say, you know what? Stuff it. We're just moving forward. Doesn't matter.
It's all about the loot, baby. I'm telling you.
And the
driving force.
And the new hotness, of course.
That's right.
Speaking of new hotness, let's talk about 6.1 now. It's going through all the data mining process right now. And we have some more items to talk about. We have a new thing for the UI, which is a death recap, essentially. So you can see how you died on the UI. This is kind of cool for Raiders, right? Darius, what do you think?
This is awesome. This is I think this is great. I mean, this is something that like SCADA and Recount and Warcraft logs and all those things have shown you for a while, but that's an extra resource. Putting this directly into the game takes out all excuse for someone to, when they die, click on that and realize why they die and not do that again. If they died and they're like, oh, I don't know why I died, all they do is click this button and now they know, I stood in poo or, something like that.
Or the tanks failed or whatever.
But I can still blame the healers though, right? I mean, I can still do that as DPS. I'm allowed to do that.
Considering that we are the healers for you.
Right. That's
keep blaming
true,
me. Keep blaming us and then see how much healing you get.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's all going to be self-heals right now.
Yeah, everyone around me's got all these green numbers above them, but not me. I don't know what's going on. This is insane. That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Keep doing it.
Right.
No, but that's a cool thing. That's a nice thing. That'll be good.
Yep. And speaking of which, we should also mention this for 6.1.
Yeah!
If you haven't heard the sounder yet, we have the Jukebox Hero stuff coming for 6.1. And they kind of made a whole big list of things that you can get for the Jukebox and what kind of songs will unlock. We still don't know exactly how it's going to unlock. But
is that song going to be in there?
I don't think so, actually.
I think I'm just going to write an add-on that just puts that sounder on loop.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, it's kind of cool because one of the things that was in there that I was interested in personally was the Orgrimmar sound. As an Alliance player, as a former Horde, I kind of like the Orgrimmar music, and I kind of want that in my life still. I know that sounds weird, but so maybe I'll put it in. So maybe I'll put it in my garrison, and that'd be awesome. I love this stuff.
The one I saw was they had the Iron Forge music in there as well that you can choose. Now, for me, when I first started back in Classic, I played a gnome mage, was my very first character. And back then, Ironforge was like the hub. Like no one was in Stormwind back then. Like right now, Stormwind is like busy, and there's no one in Ironforge. Way back in the day, it was all about Ironforge. That's where everybody was. That auction house was jamming, the mailbox. Everybody was in Ironforge. This was before like the tram and all that stuff. So for me, when I hear that Ironforge music, for me, that's like home. That's like, oh, I remember those days, you know? So I'm actually looking forward to having the Ironforge music going on because I find it strangely relaxing.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't know. So I like this idea. This is cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Darius, do you have a personal favorite for yourself?
I haven't played with music in a lot. I play with music when I'm leveling, but once I hit max level, I usually turn music off just to cut out the distraction, especially while raiding.
Yeah, raiding, it's tough to have the music on with everything else going on anyway. So yeah, I totally get it on that. But I think in the, it's kind of neat because you can get all the different zone music essentially is what it looks like, right?
My favorite music though is Grizzly Hills, so I'll probably just play that. I love the music in that place.
Was that on the list?
Yeah, that's on the list.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good stuff, man.
So that's very, very cool.
Ooh, that Wrath of Lich King stuff. Some of those zones, that was some good stuff.
I
man.
know,
so good,
great music. So I'm looking forward to like everything with that. It's kind of neat to think about. They also have some new colorblind options, which is really cool. I think for those guys that don't necessarily see the same way that everybody else does, and you can really mess up the screen.
Yeah,
that's all I know. So you can really mess it up now, and it seems like a lot easier to be able to play with those colors, so you can get it just right. I know a few people that are colorblind in the CTR guild, and I think that this would be really great for these guys. I think they're looking forward to it. So
absolutely.
Now, hasn't that been in the game for a while? It just hasn't been very good.
It hasn't been very good. That's my understanding of it. So. Yeah, it's nice to see that they're really kind of stepping up.
Good on them for fixing that.
Also, we have character model changes already. Actually, it's like little fixes and stuff like that. So it seems like a lot of them are like female characters with the eyes and face a little bit. And then the one that kind of is irking me is the Night Elf run. They're changing up the male Night Elf run to be less. I don't know.
What does he skip now? Does he just skip? What are you talking about?
So the male Night Elf, for those guys that don't know and haven't seen it, he basically runs like every 8-bit character from every video game in 1986 or whatever.
Excellent. It's like Metroid.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And so they're smoothing out a little bit. And I'm like, no, come on, this is goofy. I like this run. I don't know. Just one.
Some in the chat room, Navox here, the new Night Elf run looks better.
Well,
they say it's less bouncy.
Right. I know. I like the bouncy. It just reminds me of...
You want him to skip. Admit it. You want him to skip footloose and fancy free. Come on. That's what you're looking for.
Kinda.
Yep.
Kinda. I mean, and if you've seen my transmog, it's
Yeah. Zug's transmog is offensive on so many levels.
It gets worse every week,
oh
too.
my gosh. He's pretty much like completely nude.
No, he's wearing pants now.
Oh, he's now wearing pants.
Right.
That's
okay.
good.
And for those guys who don't know, just look at a Night Elf in the leather transmog thing, all the transmog gear from the bunker. Okay, from your garrison. Just look at a Night Elf character in that garb, and that's basically it. And it's
holy cow.
It's
so hard to raid with him.
It's offensive.
So
it's revealing.
Right.
But I decided I was going to stick with it. So
that's good. I like it. You go for it, man. You go. All guts, no glory. Or all guts, all glory.
It's all something.
It's all something and all something else.
Yeah,
that's right.
It all hangs out.
And another little piece of news that we found out this week to get us back on track once again, veteran accounts. So, Darius, what is up with veteran accounts? This was something that was data mined a week or two ago, and then it was clarified this week.
Yeah, so this had a lot of people freaking out, but it was basically what they're saying is if you've ever had a subscription and you cancel it, so like an active subscription, you're paying and you cancel it, if you want to come back, you can't even log in. Like you have to reactivate your subscription in order to even log back into the game. But if you have a starter edition or something like that, like, you know, a trial account, even if like you don't have an active subscription there, you're not paying, but they still allow you to log in. So they're kind of giving what they're called veteran accounts, people that have had subscriptions and have canceled, the same access. You'll be able to log in, you'll be able to, you know, level up to 20, and you'll actually be able to join guilds if any of your other tunes are already in that guild,
Right.
Which is something that a normal starter edition can't. But you'll still have some of the same restrictions that go with that. Like, I think it's like no mail, and you can't join groups and things like that. But it will at least allow you to log in and do some things. So
Right.
that's all.
And I don't think you can like make your own guild or, you know, anything like that.
It's quite restrictive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it.
It's kind of cool.
But that's it. That's all the veteran account thing is, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because everyone thought, like, what is this veteran account? Are they going to get this and that? And, you know, all this stuff. And no, it just makes it easier to come back to WoW.
No, if you get a veteran account, then you get the statue. That's the way it goes, right? You get the little,
right. That's how
you get
it
the
works.
Blizzard statue thing for yourself.
Well, the whole thing started, someone was like, oh, it's veteran accounts, so that means WoW's going to free to play, and veteran accounts are going to be free and all this other stuff. Like, it was just way blown out of proportion. And then Bashiok came in and he was like, whoa, guys.
Right.
Let's calm down.
Settle down.
let's just settle down a little bit and take a look at this. No, not really. Not really.
That's good. That's good.
So, yeah. So not free to play then. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if there's really any other news. It's been another quiet week in World of Warcraft, more or less, other than
it has. There was one little thing I thought was kind of funny. So, classic achievement that we're all familiar with. What a strange trip it's been.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're adding a new thing in here. They're calling it "What a strange interdimensional trip it's been."
Right.
With Pepe. Now, Pepe is our favorite little bird, right? He's in your garrison in the trees. Click on him, he's on your head, right? Well, now with this, what a strange interdimensional trip it's been. You get Pepe, and I think he flies with you, or he stays on your head while you're on a mount.
On your head, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you got more Pepe, more bang for your buck.
More Pepe for your noggin.
That's right, because everyone loves themselves some Pepe. He's become a little bit of a hero.
I don't know. I've never really been I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's just me. I'm not.
You're not a Pepe fan?
I'm not too into Pepe.
What?
How are you not into Pepe?
How can you not love Pepe?
I don't know.
I don't know if you've heard this. Spoiler if you don't want to hear this, but the next war chief is Pepe.
Pepe.
Yes.
He has a big cutscene.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves Pepe.
With Vol'jin.
He is
putting it on his head.
Bird is the word, man. I'm telling you.
I don't know. All right. Well, let's maybe do a little bit of leading the raid. What do you say?
Leading the raid.
Well, when we can, we take a look into leadership issues for raid leaders everywhere. And this week, I thought we would take a look at a common problem that some people are having in World of Warcraft land. And that is going mythic, right? So going mythic is kind of daunting, and this has been on the agenda for a few weeks that we've been meaning to talk about this. But I think that with all the different difficulties going on, people are, they like started their team and they said, oh yeah, we're going to be a mythic team and we're going to get everybody going and whatever. And then they found maybe it's a little tough to get going on mythic. Now, Darius, I want to get your opinion first as far as what it takes to go mythic and what we need to think about as the team moves that way. What are some of the concerns and some of the issues that we'll be facing as a raid team and as raid leaders along the way?
So the most important thing to get into mythic is you got to find 20 people. It
yes,
just doesn't
Fair
work
enough.
by yourself. I tried it. You don't get very far.
Yeah.
Excellent
so
advice.
You got to have 20 people,
Yeah.
which I joke, but that can be difficult to do. There were a lot of 10-man teams before because it's easier to find 9 other people than it is to find 19 other people. So you got to find those people. And if you've already got your group of 20 and you're already cleared normal or heroic, maybe you've got 30 people, but you got to get down to 20. That's also really difficult. We faced that in the Asparagus Initiative. You've got to have some people that have got to sit or something like that. So make sure you've got a good strong 20. You've got a good balance of of melee and range. You've got the right number of healers. You don't have 7 tanks or 1 tank. These are all things that you've got to do. But so that's your first thing. And then you've got to have, I'd say, very close to this first thing, like it's just as important. You've got to have a strong raid leader. You've got to have someone that is confident and does the research and has that strong voice to be able to tell people this is what we're doing, and then while you're raiding to call things out, to be sure of what they're saying and not second guess themselves, because these fights do get really crazy, really hectic. There's a lot you've got to call out. There's a lot that needs to be done, and you need someone that can do that. You need that unifying voice across everything. That's really, really important.
Well, and I think that when you move into Mythic too, you also have to have like more than one person raid leading, essentially. I mean, so you break up the responsibilities a little bit, and you say, okay, guess what? If we're going to do loot council, then we're going to have these 3 people deal with loot, and then we're going to have our raid leader. We're going to have one guy to call out everything. We're going to have another guy to like try to manage what's going on. For, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like this division of responsibilities, and I think that that's pretty dang important for any Mythic team moving forward. Colt, as far as player responsibility and all that kind of jazz, what are we looking at for what you need for Mythic? I mean, how big of a step up is it from doing things on normal and heroic?
Well, my first advice for any team thinking about getting into Mythic, don't. Just don't do it.
Right.
Do not do it. Clearing 7 out of 7 heroic is fantastic.
Right.
Mythic, I mean, we all were like, oh, Mythic, because that's this. But there is a lot of frustration. There's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a lot of wipes. Like, you are going to wipe nonstop. So as far as player responsibility goes, the big thing that blew my mind going into Mythic was how much my own survival took in. Like, I'm using now every single spell in my spell book for my own survival. I didn't have to really do that. In Heroic Siege of Orgrimmar, I would just kind of use some of my stuff, but not really, and just kind of killing bosses, no big deal. But in Mythic, it's such a hardcore, intense thing, and your own personal responsibility is so huge that you have to get familiar with every ability that your class has. Now, I know that sounds obvious, like, well, of course you need to know every ability, but you'd be surprised. There's like probably 2 or 3 abilities that you may not use right now, like really hardly ever. You just rely on the healers, or I don't need to de-poison or cleanse myself, or I need to pop this. But in Mythic, you do. You have to do everything.
Yeah.
So I personally, I recommend if you're just now getting into Mythic, don't do it. Blackrock Foundry is like a couple of weeks away. It's great. But Mythic is, as far as player responsibility, it's through the roof. You really have to know what you're doing. You got to know your class. And it's okay. Like, if you're not the greatest player in the world, that's fine. But just the thing is that you have to have patience with yourself and with your other raiders, and you have to have that drive to want to get better, to want to do better. That if I've stood in fire these last 3 times, for this 4th one, I'm really going to make sure I don't do that, or that's going to be my focus. Little bits at a time. One thing that's helped us for our Mythic team is you try and make a little bit of progress. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, we got the boss, another 5%. That's great. We're moving ourselves on up. But Mythic is really highly intense, and you just need to have a lot of patience because you are going to wipe all night. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe, we wiped on Mythic Twins the entire night. That's all we did.
4 straight hours, yeah.
For 4 straight hours of wiping. It was like 100 and some wipes. I don't know. That's a lot, and like for morale and, to still try and stay positive, like it's not easy, but you do. So just understand that level of play is really intense, and you don't have to do it. It's okay.
Right.
7 out of 7 heroic is incredibly impressive, and it's fantastic, and it's great gear.
Yep. So, and I would say if you can clear 7 of 7 heroic, you're on the right path to going Mythic, because that last boss is so intense on heroic that if you can go through that and everybody works together and everybody makes sure that they aren't killing themselves or other people, those are the big things with that fight. If you can make sure that you're not doing that, then guess what? You are on the path to greatness, and you will be able to you should be able to down Kargath and then hopefully move on from there. So I mean, I really think that that's a very telling fight for your team.
Quick question. Easy Target in the chat room says, how does this new mythic compare to old heroic from Siege of Orgrimmar? What do you guys think?
I was going to bring that up. I think it's harder. I think they do a really good job, like we were just talking about. Imperator is on heroic is a really tough fight, and if you can clear that is a very strong indicator that you can clear the first boss, maybe even the second boss in mythic, without too much more trouble. But mythic is harder than heroic was before, and it's because of what they've done, and I think it was the right choice. They've gone 20-man. It's only 20-man. So you have to have 20 people. You have to have specific cooldowns for many of the fights. Like they're looking for things. They're geared or they're tuned in very specific ways, which you couldn't really do before because of 10 and 25-man, and and just the differences there. So I think it is harder. There's a lot more personal responsibility, but it is a lot more enjoyable. Like Cole was saying, if you're on a fight and you're pushing cooldowns that you didn't have to push before, and you survive a mechanic because you've learned to use these abilities in different ways, you feel better about yourself as a raider. You're excited. You're like, yeah, I did that. Like I made it through that without dying, or I didn't screw that up or whatever. Because I've learned to do this in different ways. So it's definitely much more rewarding because of that. But it is more challenging. I don't want to say it's impossible or it's harder. I like saying it's more challenging because it is the first boss is accessible if you can make it through heroics.
Yep.
But it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of fun to see how the fight changes, right? Because in normal and heroics and even LFR, we have the same kind of mechanics, right? It just hits at different levels. So you have to work more to get it done. But in Mythic, that's where you start to see some of the fun changes, like Brackenspore. You get the giant tidal waves and the exploding mushrooms that pop up all over the place. And
right.
So you have these different things going on. Plus, everything's hitting harder. You have to heal more. Everything just takes much more effort to get through, and that's kind of one of the fun rewards that you get to as you go into Mythic. And even Kargath, like you get to play with the kitties down in the pit. You don't go down in the pit. You don't go down there. No, you just play with them when they come up onto the main level. So,
well, I mean, you can play with them. They're not friendly.
They won't last very long.
I tried once.
Darius did try.
First kill.
Well, you gotta try. Right?
You jumped right in that pit, like right in that pit. Just jumped right in there.
I like cats. I mean, I have two, so I figured, what's another?
Exactly.
It's not friendly though.
I think that we've kind of hit on a lot of different things that people need to think about as they kind of move their team to Mythic. But what else do we have?
Probably gear considerations. I'd say again, if you're clearing Imperator, you've probably got the gear to do Kargath, and then as long as you continue to clear heroics and kill Kargath for the weapons and things that he drops and other loot, you should be okay. So if people are worried about gear, that's you're probably all right. Again, Imperator, similar DPS requirements as Kargath probably would. So I'd say you're okay there. As long as everyone is over 650, 655, you should be plenty okay. I'd say getting into 660s, you're well okay.
Cool.
For Mythic.
Yep.
And I would say the quick thing too, if you can down heroic Imperator, just from a personal responsibility side, that if you can survive that fight and get through that, then you'll be ready for Mythic Kargath. Because on that Mythic level, if you die, it's literally your fault. It's not your healer's fault.
Right.
It's because you didn't use your cooldowns and you didn't use. Well, it's always.
If you insult your healers, it's your fault because they didn't heal you.
It's kind of interesting. Okay, so from a healing standpoint, since we have a couple of healers here, I just want to say that I think that Blizzard has done it right, where if you take that personal responsibility thing and put it on everybody, yes, if you aren't doing what you need to do to keep yourself alive, it is your fault. Because the way that they've done it is they've done it really nice where there are only like a couple of big moves where you need like all the healers to pile all the heals together into one big bundle. Other than that, it's just like spot healing and making sure that the tanks are up, making sure that all the weird things, on Brackenspore, it's the mushrooms, making sure that you're healing those things, making sure that everything's going off at the right time so that you can move about. And it feels actually really nice from a healing standpoint right now. I don't know, Darius, do you have the same thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my thing as a disc priest, popping bubbles on everybody and things like that,
right,
is one of the reasons that I get so high is because I know the people that are going to take unnecessary damage before they do. Right. And I mean, like they're inflating my numbers as a disc priest, but they're also hurting themselves because they're not playing. They're not with that personal responsibility. Right. But it definitely is that, like, when somebody has screwed up because their health drops way more than everyone else's.
Yep.
But when everybody takes damage, you can recover from it. It's when people don't do what they need to do that they die.
Right.
It's not the healer's fault. It's that person's fault for not popping a cooldown, not standing in the right spot, whatever it is.
Right.
Standing in fire.
Monkeyo in the chat room said Mythic simply requires raiders to focus on mechanics rather than their DPS or HPS.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely right. And that's the big thing that I've noticed is it's mechanics. It's not about your DPS. It's about surviving.
Actually, that's
knowing the mechanics of the fight.
That's a really great point. I think that if you're going to move into Mythic, you have to know the mechanics. You absolutely have to know them. Every single player has to know them. Not just one.
I've said it a million times on this show and in general. You need to be proactive, not reactive. You need to know what's going to happen before it happens. Because if you're reacting to standing in fire, it's already too late.
Yep.
You've already stood in the fire.
Absolutely.
You've already not popped your cooldown. And that's a big thing in Mythic. You need to be that. You need to be playing the game one step ahead of what's happening.
Well, that's because if somebody dies, guess what? You have to res them, and then if you run out of reses, you're done. You're absolutely done. You can't have more than a couple of people die in any particular encounter. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Right.
That's just the way.
So don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do Mythic.
Don't do Mythic. If you're not in Mythic right now, just wait for Blackrock. It's coming around the corner.
Don't do it.
Oh boy.
Please.
All right. Well, we do have some questions to get to. We have a lot of questions this week. We'll see how many we can get through right now.
We've got mail.
We certainly do. And if you have a question about anything for us, about raiding or anything else, let us know. We'll try to answer it on the show. You can email us at converttoraid@gmail.com or call our raid line, 612-787-RAID. And first up, we actually have a phone call. Look out. Here we go.
Hey, guys. This is Einheria of Airy Peak, Convert to Raid Guild. I have two questions. The first one is, do you think that with the multiple difficulty lockouts in Highmaul right now, where you can do normal and then heroic and then mythic all in the same week and receive loot from all of those drops, if that's too much, if that isn't kind of shades of the Argent Tournament raid, where we all kind of burned out spinning our wheels on the same encounters over and over again in the Coliseum. The second question is, now that casting on the move is pretty much dead, have hunters become too niche, too necessary for the ease with which they can accomplish these raid mechanics that require movement, require a DPS player, particularly a range to move around, intercept orbs, get rid of the brand, things like that? Are hunters too essential, and is this fair to the other pure DPS who may not necessarily have as much of a special thing that they can do that make them more essential to a raid? Thanks.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions here. First up, are we raiding too much? Guys, Colt, what do you think?
No, I love the loot. Keep it coming. No, I know what he's saying. But, the normal stuff, most teams, if we at least at Asparagus Initiative, we don't even bother with normal now. We start straight up with heroic.
Right.
Because the difference in eye level is pretty good sized gap. So once you're clearing these heroic bosses and you're getting the 670, there's really no need to go back and get that 655. You know what I mean? So I think because the gap is so large, there's not that need to run both, to run normal and then heroic. Now, we did it first. We did normals and then heroics and normal heroics, but now we're just straight up starting on heroic. And I think it's because of that big eye level gap between both difficulties.
Right on. And Darius, the other question is: are hunters too mobile? Essentially, is what it comes down to. Are hunters too much of a niche because they can fire on the run?
I don't understand this question because I see hunters standing in more stuff than anyone else. So I assume that they can't move.
I don't know what you mean. They're mobile. They're standing in everything.
That's
What?
Mark's hunters.
By being mobile, they just run around to find stuff to stand in and run to it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, I have this to say. I mean, we've always used, at least in the Asparagus Initiative. Okay, so let's talk Siege of Orgrimmar. Even before all of the stuff, before all of the changes went in, we were using hunters on a regular basis because they were so mobile. Even though other classes were just as mobile. I think maybe it's because they're just kind of used to it at this point. I don't know.
I think hunters are absolutely necessary. I think what he said on the phone call is absolutely right. They can DPS like crazy on the move, which is huge. And then don't they also have that fox aspect of the fox or something they can bust, which allows the whole raid to be going on the move. I mean, I think hunters literally are in a spot now where they are absolutely necessary because the advantage that they bring, not only do they bring that DPS on the move, which helps with mechanics, but also a raid-wide thing where they can have the whole raid be on the move,
right?
Which is huge for mechanics.
Absolutely.
So especially when you're stepping into mythic type stuff where it's all about the mechanics, I find that hunters have literally become a necessity versus like, well, you bring a hunter, great. If not, but I'll tell you, without our hunters, man, we wouldn't, I think, have some of these kills.
Well, and I guess that leads to a bigger question. Is there a class that you don't need? I don't think that there is. I think that you need it seriously. I mean, I think that they did a really nice job making sure that every single class is needed for these kills. Darius, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, I mean, without proper class balance, you're not going to have a good. You're not going to do very well. I can't think of a class that like we don't. I mean, maybe resto druids.
Right.
We don't really need them.
I tell you.
Probably.
I mean, now that Holy Priest Trank is pretty much the same as resto Druid Trank. Basically, Holy Priests are better druids, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay.
Well,
you walked into that one, so
yeah, I guess
that's true.
I guess I did. But you still need druids of some type, right? I mean, balance is going crazy right now in raids, and Feral is no slouch either. So
right, but then you got people like this is a bad question to ask because now all the people that want to QQ about their class, now's their opportunity. You've handed it to them on a silver platter.
And I'm talking about classes, not about specs. Okay,
well, that's true, but like rogues can be like, you don't need rogues, we're useless now.
Smoke bomb, come on.
Yeah, but it's kind of not what it used to be. It's not the smoke bomb of old. We can all agree.
What they've done, though, is they've allowed every class to bring something that someone else might also be able to bring. So you're not stuck needing 3 rogues, but if you don't have a rogue, you're also not screwed.
Right.
Right. I think they've done a really, really good job with that.
Right. And mages have amp, and I mean, it's just like
mages with amp is huge. Locks. Those the locks, I don't know. Warlocks are in an interesting.
The portal can be really necessary sometimes. So
the portal is great. The portal is very good. The Hellstone's not so much. Not as good as the tonics, as the healing tonics.
Yeah. Do you think they did that on purpose, where they just said, you know what, let's make first aid a thing again? We'll just
that's the thing. For raiders wondering, the healing tonics that you can make from first aid heal way more than the Hellstones from Warlocks. So for our team heading into Mythic, we don't even summon the Hellstone anymore because the tonic heals for that much more, and especially if that thing crits. So, I mean, it could be a reason. But yeah, first aid is like, I'm getting my first aid up now, and I never really have. So
I know.
It's a big thing.
I'm doing things that I never did in other expansions. Like, I'm fishing. What? I'm like doing first aid. What's that? I'm a healer. Right. Why do I need first aid?
That's valid. That's valid.
I don't know. I don't like that part of it, but everything else is fine.
But overall, like Darius said, it's good to have every class. I do feel personally, to answer specifically, that hunters are a necessity. I really do believe that. Just with what they can do on the move for mechanics and also help out the raid with mechanics. But I don't think there's one class that if you have, you're like, oh, that's gross. We've got a rogue or a warlock. Like, no, they're still great to have in the raid. You know, they're still fantastic. But I don't think that there's anything that we just don't need that you know is looked down upon. I don't believe.
Right. I don't think so either. All right, let's go to another phone call. Here we go.
Hey Raiders, this is Rita from Feather Moon server Horde side. I have been ranged DPS since I started raiding, but lately I've completely fallen in love with my Blood Death Knight. I've mostly done a little soloing out in the world and just have a really good time pulling huge packs of mobs and not dying. But I have run a few random dungeons and found it really exhilarating. Any advice for how to start raid tanking? It would be really appreciated. I really want to try out this new role, and but I really don't want to let my guild down if I'm not good at it. Thank you.
All right, so we're talking about raid tanking. How do you start raid tanking? And let's maybe go to Darius because you've been tanking a little bit. What do you think? What do you need to switch from doing 5-mans to doing large group stuff?
I'd say fine. So she mentioned that she wanted to raid tank for her raid team. She's already taken the first step and kind of progressing from soloing stuff to 5-mans, which is really good. I would take one of the tanks on your current raid team and go do LFR. Get and mumble together. Get used to that communication back and forth, and try, even though it's LFR, try to do all the mechanics correctly and talk about it. Your other tank might be able to offer some insight too on how these bosses go. And if LFR goes really well, see if on some of your farm bosses, your Kargas that you've killed a whole bunch, maybe you can tank that, on your tune instead of one of your tanks. Maybe they would, they might appreciate having the knight off or, a boss off or something like that, and give it a shot. But I'd say work through that progression and do it with one of the tanks in your raid team, because they're going to know, you're going to know them best, and they're not going to, well, hopefully they're not going to be really rude to you about all of it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will not be rude to you. And Colt, you actually did some tanking for Siege of Orgrimmar.
I did.
How did you get it? How did you get that gig, man?
I just screamed constantly, like, ah! It was just complete insane. No, they needed a third tank, and I was like, well, I'll try a little Brewmaster. And it was a blast. And I love her story about starting up and finding it exhilarating. That's great. You try something new, something fresh, and you're really into it. I think what Darius says is a great thing. A couple of things in the chat room people are saying too. Confidence. Confidence is key as a tank. So if you queue up with your off tank or your buddy and you do LFR, that's going to help build your confidence. Goldie Katsu said the same thing as well. Confidence is a big thing, but yeah, LFR might be a nice kind of a cool way to kind of get into it, to check it out. And if you've got a boss on your raid team that's somewhat on farm or something like that, try tanking on it. See how it goes. But tanking is a ton of fun, and it's a whole different type of gameplay. And just make sure that you're not, just watch your DPS guys. If there's a puddle of bad and the boss's butt is right up against it, that means that your melee has to stand in the puddle to DPS. Go ahead and pull that boss away from that.
just a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of fun, but you get to be aware of the boss's position and also your raiders. How can I help my raiders and help my melee DPS so they're not having to stand in poo to do the maximum amount of DPS?
Yep.
So
and I do
that's
think
good stuff.
And I do think that especially on those farm bosses, that's where you could really shine, where you're just trying to get some gear and maybe your main tune is already geared up on that particular boss. Awesome. Go grab your Blood DK and go nuts. And by the way, Feather Moon Horde side, that was where I started out playing. So hi to everybody on Feather Moon. Hello.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So and I think with that, we're actually gonna call it for today. But we do need to get to some 5-star reviews and so on and so forth. Darius, what do we have this week?
We have 2 this week. We have Divic 12 and Di Migetto. Oh man, that one's bad. I don't know.
Who knows exactly what it is?
Looks like a raid boss name.
Right, exactly. One of the new ones for Blackrock Foundry. Yeah. Any shout-outs this week, fellas?
Ooh, I got several.
Ooh.
Do you want me to go last? I got quite a few here.
Why don't you go first?
All right, here we go. So huge shout out to Sun, or Sun, S-U-N-E, Holy Pally from Dark Moon Fair EU, and to his lovely daughter Layla, who also listens to the show.
Aww, that's so
could
nice.
possibly be one of our youngest fans that actually listens to the show. So big shout out to Sun and to Layla.
That's awesome.
Also a quick thing. Rectified, my old raid team. You know, I never said I'm no longer with Rectified, and the reason is my schedule, my hours changed. My hours changed at work, so I wasn't able to raid with Rectified. It's the only reason. Rectified, amazing team.
Oh, by the way, and if you haven't heard it, he was on
Rectified!
So there's the sound for that.
Right? I mean, come on, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a little bit better than Asparagus Initiative.
Yeah, it was a little weak sauce this week.
Yeah. We got to work on that Asparagus Initiative to get up to the level of Rectified. Now, Rectified, they raid on the Pacific side 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's for Pacific time. Most of the raiders are East Coast, so that starts at 9 a.m. It's a one-day-a-week, Saturday morning team, great players, great people. They're currently looking to build a mythic team, which we just advised that you shouldn't do.
Right.
But they are looking to do it. But they're clearing heroics currently. They're looking for a Disc Priest, Holy Pally, some tanks, maybe some caster DPS. Bring the pain! Check out Rectified. Really, really good guys. They're at rectified.com. Starts with a W. WRECKEDIFIED.com. If that website doesn't work, .guildlaunch.com. And one more quick little thing.
Yeah.
Mages assemble!
Oh, boy.
There is a new mage podcast for mages, by mages. I haven't had a chance to listen to it just yet, but it's called Dalaran Brilliance. I just downloaded it. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's Dalaran Brilliance for all my mages out there, my mage brothers. So
Interesting.
it's for mages by mages. So
it goes over the. Never mind. I was gonna make a mage joke. I won't do it.
Don't say it. Come on.
Something about rotations and so on and so forth. Anyway, I also have a shout out for Tivia and for Turarts, who is our event leader at CTR Guild, and for all the events guys at the CTR Guild. I know that we're celebrating our 2-year anniversary this week, and thank you guys for putting all these wonderful events together. And if you guys are in the guild and want to find out what events are happening, and if you can join them, just go to converttorade.com/guild, and that has like all the information on it that you could ever want about the guild. I gotta bail on this music. Oh man,
no.
Just gonna bail out?
I just gotta bail out of that, and I'm gonna play.
Bail out? Okay.
Let's see. I'll play this one. The smooth one. The smooth.
Yeah.
It's got a little stank on it, doesn't it? All right.
Stank on it.
Yeah. Now, if you guys want to converse with us or converse with each other, I don't know. It could happen. If you want to talk to us, just make sure to email converttorade@gmail.com. You can call and leave comments and questions on our raid line, 612-787-RAID. That's 612-787-7243. You can follow us on Twitter @converttorade or even individually. Right, Colt?
You can follow Pat Crane at Pat Crane. You can follow Coltrane at _Coltrane. And you can follow Darius at BoardMod.
Yes, and make sure to join the Bazooba Guabo Nation by heading over to converttorade.com, where we have really everything. We have videos, we have audios, we have forums, we have downloads, we have tons of links for raiders and so much more. It's all over at converttorade.com. Our live feed and video show is also at gamebreaker.tv. Make sure to watch, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things you do with the YouTubes. And our audio show is available literally everywhere. And if you can't find it, go to converttorade.com. You'll be able to find everything there. The Convert to Raid podcast is produced and distributed by Signals Media. Make sure to check out all of our friends, including now Realm Maintenance is over at the Signals Media All-Star Network, signalsmedia.com. And welcome to Row, by the way. That is going to be it for the show. We hope you guys had a lot of fun. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you on our next show next week. Regular time, Sunday, 11 a.m. Central. And for all the guys at Convert to Raid, goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.